Now, look, sporting time. There's a heap of it. As I write in tomorrow's Australian newspaper, the late Duke of Edinburgh was a massive rugby supporter. I include a couple of his quips in my article tomorrow. But a massive weekend in swimming and track and field, the national championships and Olympic Games trials. I just wish these sports would make results more accessible. Track and field is certainly better than swimming. The swimming's at the Gold Coast Aquatic Centre. Good luck if you can find any results. In track and field, the national championships are underway with a whole heap of underage events, which are great thrill for young kids to become a national champion. But phenomenal action at Sydney Olympic Park on Saturday night. The men's 100, the women's 100, the men's 800, the women's 400, and tremendous interest in the brilliant young man who went to Trinity Grammar in Sydney, Rowan Browning. In the men's 100, he became 2 weeks ago Australia's third fastest runner, 10.05 seconds. He's qualified for the Olympics. Winning a national title's tough. It won't be easy pickings for him, I can tell you. And it was the week in which Japan produced its first winner of a major golf championship. Just having at one stage a 5-stroke lead, Hideki Matsuyama was almost run down, but he got there in the end. The US Masters champion by 1 stroke. Big night of Greyhound racing on Saturday night at Wentworth Park. The Golden Easter Egg. Tommy Shelby is Greyhound Racing's newest $1 million earner following the victory. Well done, Tony Mestroff, who's done a hell of a job with the greyhound industry, which, if I remember rightly, the New South Wales government wanted to destroy. In rugby league, I could watch that Penrith 5'8" all night. I reckon he could win an Olympic 400, this bloke. Jerome Luai, what a player. And always with a smile on his face. Penrith are playing superb rugby league. Trent Barrett is a class act as a player and a human being, but he got his hands full at Canterbury. They're trying everything, but they've lost 5 on the trot. That doesn't get any easier. They've got to take some risks on the paddock. Play with the football. 1 up and 1 out gets you nowhere. But to me, one of the disgraceful stories in sport is the sacking of the Cronulla coach, John Morris. I don't know the bloke, but I suppose you can find a reason to get rid of anyone. He's taken Cronulla to the finals in the last 2 years. He inherited players he couldn't get rid of. They've played some good rugby league under him, and he gets the chop when the season's just begun, out the door. I'm sorry, you don't win much public support treating people this way. Interesting stuff in the AFL. 3 teams are equal at the top of the table. Western Bulldogs, Melbourne and the Sydney Swans, and the Swannies. Libby is watching. They look to be in good shape. In racing, oh my God, doesn't get any better than this anywhere in the world. On Saturday, the Sydney Cup, the Oaks, the Queen of the Turf, the Arrowfield Sprint, the Great Percy Sykes Stakes, and appropriately the Longines Queen Elizabeth Stakes. All up, $10.5 million. They're calling the Queen Elizabeth Stakes a match race. I don't think so. Glenn Boss is complaining, and rightly, that he doesn't get too many rides in Sydney. I think he'll upset the apple cart on Saturday, and Sir Dragonet might tip them all out. And what about Jamie Carr? Last week, winning the Doncaster Mile on a horse she'd never ridden. This brilliant young female jockey could ride a broomstick and it would win. But just on racing, Greg Blanchard has been in touch with me relentlessly from Brisbane. He's a mad racing fan, but he's highlighted something in relation to coronavirus, and that is in rural Queensland. He's only talking about rural Queensland. They can't get jockeys. I've seen stewards' reports in Cloncurry way back October 31, 13 horses scratched, no jockeys. Melbourne Cup Day, 8 horses scratched at Longreach, no jockeys. Mount Isa, Melbourne Cup Day, 18 horses scratched, no jockeys. Last Saturday, there were 20 horses scratched in country Queensland, no jockeys. So from August last year, 258 horses scratched. I thought we'd have a word with Greg. This is a big story. Greg, what is going on? Thank you for your time and thank you for your enthusiasm. What's happening?
Look, Alan, thanks so much for your time. Look, yeah, you're right, 258 horses scratched in Queensland since August 1. This problem's been going on for years, and there's a few things we should look at, and getting overseas kids here to be jockeys is one solution, but the thing is we've got to get CRICOS, Commonwealth Register of Institutions courses for overseas students. And I've heard the promises about getting that, but nothing's happened yet. And also I think domestically we've got to get big names to go out in the far west and in the northwest. Get someone like Billy Slater or Jonathan Thurston or someone like that with somebody from Racing Queensland to try to get kids interested, But I think
because coronavirus, though, we're not getting overseas young people to study. and they're not jockeys.
Yep.
Do we have a problem here because I suppose Australians are bigger? Are Australians basically too big to become jockeys?
Well, that's part of it. But the thing is, out in the bush, you're not going to get the people out there. You know, it doesn't matter much recruitment. You know, and you know, for 10 years, I've been a volunteer with Korean horse students, right? Yeah. Yeah. And in every school that comes out, there's been at least one or two who could have been jockeys. You know, and
what, they got to go home?
None of them could be. Absolutely. There was one boy I sent to New Zealand.
Yeah, you did. I saw that.
He became an apprentice.
Yep.
And there was another boy. A Japanese boy I met on a Brisbane racecourse about 5 years ago. I got him his first job as a stable hand with Jack Duncan on the Sunshine Coast. Couldn't be a jockey here. I contacted New Zealand. He eventually got there. He was last year's champion apprentice.
Yeah,
his name's Kozi Asano.
I've read that story. See, it's no comfort, though, to owners and trainers. It costs money to get a horse to the racetrack, and then suddenly you find you can't get a jockey. You wrote to Grace, the racing minister. She says because of COVID. Yes. I mean, that's just an excuse, isn't it?
Well,
what's the answer here?
Well, the thing is, cry cost is one of the answers. Then we can get overseas kids, right, into our apprenticeship school, right, and then they can become jockeys, right? At the moment, anybody from overseas cannot be part of the apprentice school in Queensland. Right. It's crazy.
Crazy. Well, the one reason I do think there's the problem, and I'm not saying we're going to solve it tonight, no one knows about it, which is the reason I wanted to talk to you. So you keep going, you keep writing to me, I'll keep talking to them.
Yes, I will, Alan.
We'll get a breakthrough. Good to talk to you, Greg.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time.
Not at all. Look, I have learned, the one thing I've learned, there are plenty of jobs out there in hospitality and now in racing and nobody to fill them.